everyone, our group will be presenting on the Bajan Creole from Barbados, and we hope that you learn and enjoy our presentation. Thank you. Let's learn a little about the beautiful island of Barbados. It is located in the eastern island in the Caribbean, and it's situated about South America across of Guyana and Venezuela. Its capital and most populated city is Bridgetown, and it's 166 square miles. It is famous for its beautiful white beaches and carnival. Barbados and Belize have more than just the Caribbean Sea in common. Just like us, they have a variety of different cultures, including African descent being its highest. They also have mixed races, Caucasian or European ancestry, East Indian, Oriental, and Middle Eastern. Just like us, tourism is also their biggest contributor to the economy. Their beautiful beaches, their joyful people attracts thousands of tourists every year and are welcomed with happy faces. The origin of the Creole in Barbados. The word Bajan is derived from the word Barbadian. However, due to stronger accents which once prevailed, the word sounded more like Barbadian and eventually was shortened to Bajan. It is not known for sure whether its Creole features were created due to an earlier pidgin state or some other reasons such as close contact with other English-based Creole languages. Barbados Creole, unlike Belize's Creole, it is considered a dialect. It is also believed that the Bajan language originated through the arrival of the enslaved Africans from West Africa. Just like many other English-based Caribbean Creole languages, Bajan consists of a West African substrate and an English superstrate, meaning that its lexifier is also English. Bajan is similar but distinguishable from the Creoles of neighboring Caribbean islands, as many of the other Caribbean Creoles are theorized to have Hiberno English or Scottish English as their superstrate. Also, the Bajan Creole is considered to have the closest grammatical connection with the English. However, this is still a dispute between other Caribbean countries. The geographical and historical factors that influence the development of the Bajan language. By the early 70s, the country was ruled by Britain and therefore most of its population was British. However, there came a point where the plantations were not going so well and the country's economy was at a very low point. For this, the British had to make decisions, and they joined forces with a Dutch company to increase the sugar industry and therefore help increase the economy. For this, they had to buy slaves from West Africa to be able to work on the plantations. Know that the Dutch and the British had come together and planned strategies to improve the economy. They brought in the slaves from West Africa. They were also forced to speak English, but they learned it imperfectly because they had no classes. They came straight from Africa with their native language and didn't know how to speak English. By listening, their slave masters, they were able to put together some words and then eventually mixed it with other words from their native West African languages. This is how these two languages were mixed together to make the Bajan Creole. It is still used at this time in Barbados. It is not the same as it once was, but you can still identify that it's not English nor a West African language. That is just a combination of both. Not having any background in English is what made the slaves mix the pronunciation by changing the ending sounds or by mixing the tenses. That's why sometimes when you hear the Bajan language, you might think that they're using it grammatically because the tense is changed a lot. However, it is because, like I mentioned before, they had no background in the English, so they were able to mix the words and just state them as they best could. This was also a way to be able to have their own conversation so that their slave masters wouldn't understand what they were saying. I will now be sharing with you some common rules when it comes to speaking the dialect Bajan. For example, they tend to simplify or delete the final sound of a consonant. In the word best, they would change it to best, respect to respect, and land to land. So you can hear clearly how they delete the final consonant sound. Also, just like you would hear in the Bajan Creole, they would change the sound the to d. And some other words are cut short, for example, happen to happen. They don't really have an idea of present and past tense, and therefore they just use one tense. Also, instead of saying the word, for example, very, they repeat the adjective more than once. So she is pretty, pretty, pretty instead of saying very. I will now be sharing some common proverbs. It says, the higher the monkey climb, the more he show his tail. In other words, the more you show off, the more you show your faults. When you hear a person speaking the Bajan language, it sounds like it's rough, and people tend to do different facial expressions when speaking. A personal opinion, I think this is because of the way they were treated at the time. They were not just being tormented mentally, but also physically. They did not have the freedom of free speech, and this is what just made them feel like they were being oppressed. And so when they were able to express, they brought in somehow their anger and within their facial expressions, and that's why the content was probably a little bit rough. And also just the fact that they weren't taught English, that they just had to learn it on their own. It tells you how their vocabulary was so limited that they had to use the few amount of words that they knew to be able to express and be able to say what they wanted. And also, they weren't allowed to say certain words, certain things, so they really had to be careful. And that's why when you hear these proverbs, you can see that they're short. They sound sort of like an irony for us in the English language when it's translated. But it's just because of everything that they were going through is what forced them to just create this dialect that we know as Bajan. For example, it says, if greedy, wait hot would cool. It says patience will be rewarded. Okay, I probably did not pronounce this correct. I try my best. But because of that, in the following video, you're going to see a person from Barbados speaking in the Bajan dialect and showing you the correct spelling in English.
Look, look there. Name, nothing. Saying else here, something else. That dress real cute. That dress is really cute. I want some da. I would like some. I could get it. Can I get it? What's that? What's that? I think about you. I thought about you. I'm real hungry. I'm very hungry. Gimme that. Give it to me. She about this skinny shitty. She's over there laughing. I would lick he down. I would beat him. Alright, you good?
Today's Bajan does not sound the same like it once did by the slaves. With time and the arrival of new cultures, the pronunciation has changed a little, and some of the words have been forgotten or new words have been included. However, it remains practically almost the same with minor changes. At this point, English is the main language of the country and it's used for formal settings. Unlike the Bajan, it is still not a language, it's considered a dialect and it's used in informal settings. On the street, you will hear the Bajan among its people. You can hear it in their songs, in their folk tales, in their jokes, and just anywhere around the island.
Let's go! Gem of the Caribbean Sea, one nothing with me. I am a Bajan, I'm a Bajan, yeah. 166 square miles of pure love, pure smile. I am a Bajan, yeah, a Bajan, yeah. Bajan and crystal blue sea, one nothing with me. I am a Bajan, I'm a Bajan, yeah. A symbol of pride and industry, Christchurch to St. Lucie. I am a Bajan, a Bajan. Wherever I roam or I go, I will let them know. No matter what I say or I do, blue, yellow, black and blue. Represent it, come on. Drinks, rags, repping my Bajan flag. Vibes, music, jump up and down and sing it. Come on. Gem of the Caribbean Sea, one